Writing Workshop with Unicourt.
Hey, wait a minute. This is my lesson.
I just thought I might have a turn.
No, not today. Maybe another time.
Remember, stay cool.
Writing Workshop with Cool Cat Court. Remember the story mountain? Narrative stories build up to a climax, the most exciting or intense part of the story. And as writers, we can do the same thing. Here's your learning objective. Writers can plan stories that use a big idea which builds in intensity from the beginning up to the climax. Now that you have figured out a beginning for your story, let's sketch a mountain on our planner to remind ourselves that we need to start with low excitement or intensity and gradually build in intensity up to our climax. In the beginning of our story, we want to introduce the big idea, but keep the intensity low. It's just the beginning, and we need space to build up to the climax. In the middle, we want to continue to develop the big idea and increase the intensity toward the climax. Let me show you how this works with my story. In the beginning of my story, I want to introduce my big idea. You can overcome your fears. Let's see. Since Abby overcomes her fears at the climax, in the beginning, to introduce this big idea, I could show that she is afraid of dogs, but I want to keep the intensity low, so maybe she starts to worry about a dog. Then, in the middle, her fear can grow. Maybe she sees the dog in the distance. Or my neighbor calls out to her and she sees him holding the dog. Then in the climax, her fear becomes intense when the dog breaks free, rushes up to her, and puts its paws on her shoulders. And she learns to overcome her fears. Do you see how it works? I'll jot this on my planner. Here's the beginning. Here's the middle. Now let's try one together. Here's the planner for my story about my son's first upside-down roller coaster ride. The same big idea would work for this story. You can overcome your fears. But let's try a different one for a change. How about the joy of family? So at the climax of the story, when we are going through the loop, I want us to feel the most intense joy of family. That means at the beginning of the story, how intense should the joy of family be? What do you think? I am going to make the joy of family low at the beginning. Maybe my son is not too excited to be making his first loop with his old cat. What about in the middle? How intense should the joy of family be? What do you think? I think in the middle, the joy is going to be growing. We will start feeling happy to experience this ride together. Did you come up with something like that? What about the climax? What do you think? At the climax, we feel the full joy of family. Maybe we smile a big smile at each other while we loop upside down. Okay, now it's your turn. Remember, writers can plan stories that use a big idea which builds in intensity from the beginning up to the climax. Look at your planner. Look at your climax. Think about your big idea. How can you introduce your big idea at the beginning of your story? Sketch it on your planner. How can you build your big idea in the middle of your story? Sketch it on your planner. Did you reach the most intensity at the climax of your story? Nice work! See you next lesson. And remember, stay cool.